Hi everyone, this is Amari Walker. I am currently a fifth year PhD student at Duke University studying environmental engineering. And before I went to Duke, I went to University of California, Berkeley to study marine science. Now, one of the reasons why I got my nickname, Calamari, was because I went to Cal and my name was Amari and I loved fried squid. And so that was the easiest way to get people to remember my name during my first year in college. One of the reasons why I'm doing this video is because I got a request asking what was it like to finance and support yourself during your first years in undergrad, and how did I apply and prepare myself for undergrad. I had applied to 10 different universities and colleges when I was a senior at McEachern High School in Georgia. And of those 10 colleges, I actually got into 8. When it came down to my senior honors night, by the time I had finished applying for all the schools and gotten in and gotten my financial aid packages, I had amassed somewhere around $500,000 in financial aid from all the colleges and scholarships that I had applied to. Later on, I went on to get a few other scholarships, but let's talk about some of the things you can do while you're applying, or you've already gotten into school and you're just looking for other ways of income to make sure you can support yourself during your first couple years in your undergrad. So the first thing that I did was that I started early. I started looking for scholarships around my second year of high school. I went to the library and the bookstore and I found 2 very important books. So the first one is Fisk's Guide to Colleges. Now they have a 2020 version, which I highly recommend that you probably should go through and actually read the entire thing. Go through all the things that every college has to offer and focus on the things that matter most to you, whether it's the location, whether it's close to home or not, or the financials associated to it, or even what majors that are offered. That's probably one of the most important things, because most of the time we end up changing our major and we need to have flexibility associated to what realm we want to stay in once we're done. Some of the other things that I was also very concerned about when I wanted to choose the right college was the size of the school, because I knew I wanted to go to a bigger school to get a feeling of being lost in a big city, and what the environment is like, if it was close to the city or if it was a college town. I took a lot of those things into consideration before I even started thinking about what would be the best places to apply, because those applications get very expensive over time. Depending on what status you are, you can actually get some of these waived if you can show that you have a need. The second thing that I did was I started practicing for the SATs very early. I started doing the PSATs every year from my freshman year onward, just to make sure that I could get a better score to get into better colleges. The PSAT is one of the best ways to get a very good scholarship, which is the National Merit Scholarship. Some of the other great ways to get money is through book number 2. Now, the second book you need to think about getting is The Ultimate Scholarship Guide by Jen and Kelly Tanabe. Now, that was one of the books that I read from sophomore year all the way up to senior year. Every day or so, I would go through and see if I met some of the requirements for scholarships, because starting even in middle school, in your first year of high school, you're going to be eligible to actually apply to quite a few scholarships. And so it's very important to stay on top of that, because sometimes it's just a simple essay and you can get some free dollars. Now, I applied to over 60 different scholarships during my time in high school. Of those 60, I got around 6 scholarships. So of those 6 scholarships that I actually ended up applying to, a few of them actually came from local sources. So things to think about. Go to your county and see if they have scholarships available for you to apply to. That was one of my greatest scholarships. It was over $1,000, and it wasn't too bad to actually get. And of those 6 scholarships, those are not including financial aid packages that came with my universities that I applied to. So those 6 were just from hard work of writing out essays, applying online at scholarships.com, and just really being on top of it with sending in my SAT scores, my AP tests, my essays, my letters of recommendation. I was consistently looking for opportunities that could help me get some money for my first few years in college. Now let's talk about organization. So like I said, I applied to over 60 scholarships that I was eligible for over my time of over those 4 years in high school. So that was a lot of managing and making sure I was staying on track of deadlines and submitting things appropriately for each scholarship. So it's very important to set up an Excel sheet of all the scholarships that you're eligible for and the deadlines associated to each year that you're in high school, and making sure that you're able to submit all of your materials appropriately. Anything that's missing is going to look bad on your application and you're less likely to get that scholarship. Now, if you weren't able to get any of the scholarships you applied to, it's not the end of the world. There are plenty of other options, including the financial aid offered by your institution. So make sure you pay very close attention to those financial packages before you accept a school that you're going to go to, because that's going to make a huge impact on the rest of your life, depending on how much student loans that are going to be available to you or not. Now, sometimes there are situations where I've heard where they don't give you enough financial aid for you to be able to complete school. So if you're not given enough financial aid to even take out loans, how are you going to finish college? Don't set yourself up for failure. Make sure you pay very close attention to those financial aid packages. And make sure you can see if they give you an opportunity for work study. So another opportunity to be able to pay off and work towards your degree is through work study grants. And so those are just basically paid work that's subsidized and will help you get through your degree. And that can be in places like the library or at the cafeteria. They're very flexible with your hours and are just a great way to even mingle and get to know other people in the school. So there's a lot of different places you can get a job. You can work security at one of the libraries or at the dorms. You can even be a resident assistant. So one of the ways that I financed my time at Berkeley was I became an RA. So that was one way that paid for my entire dorms for an entire year. And it was a great way to make friends and to save a lot of money. Half of my cost for school was actually based on my dorms. They accounted for probably more than half for even tuition, just because Berkeley's dorms were just so expensive. So definitely go to the financial aid website and just your school website and see what opportunities there are for work and or work study so that you can help finance your time at school. I hope you liked this video. I had fun time making it and really thinking about what I did to make sure that I could get into school and support myself. Now, if you have any other questions or comments, please place them down below. I will be sure to include a few links to the books that I recommend and to some of the other tips and maybe some blogs associated to this. So if you really like this, please subscribe to my channel. Please comment on things you'd like to see more of, and perhaps I'll do one on how coronavirus is going to change what we know of our first year of undergrad.